And they're going to be helping me make sauerkraut. Yeah? So this is the first time you made sauerkraut, isn't it?
And a dog's called Vince.
Oh yeah, and this is Vince, who loves sauerkraut, right?
He loves everything.
So this is a fermenting class, and what we're going to do is we're going to make one of the products that you can make, which is with cabbage, and that's sauerkraut. And we're going to be probably putting onion and garlic and different vegetables in, and it's going to be fermented, and that's where you get a lot of your goodness from, and good bacteria. Okay, so you can either grate it up, or you can finely chop it. Yeah? You want me to get you some ready so that you can start squishing it? Because what you're going to do is start to bruise it in the bowl, and we're going to add salt. And the salt helps to start the fermentation. Just chopping this up, and you can grate it or chop it, but it has to be fine. Because what you're going to do is you're going to put it in a bowl. Now what we do, you only need a couple ingredients. But one of the important things is to put the salt in. Because what you want to do is bring the juices out. The salt to use is the Himalayan salt because of the nutrients that are actually in the salt. So you don't want to use table salt because it doesn't have anything in it. So you can use sea salt, but the Himalayan salt is the best to get. Now fermentation is not something new. It is very, very old. And all cultures use some form of fermentation, and quite a bit. So it didn't matter if you were an Eskimo and you fermented your meats, or you were in the Slavic nations or Germany and you were making sauerkraut like this. And the reason they did that was to preserve their vegetables and fruits and meats because they had no refrigeration. And this is the way they used to also trade with fruits and vegetables, is by doing exactly this, allowing it to ferment. But also what is so important about it is this is what really builds up good bacteria in the digestive tract and in the colon, and that's what keeps you well. Okay, the carrots are going to be also grated. So the smaller it is, the better that you can start doing sauerkraut, because it's easy for kids to learn about culture through cabbage, and it's one of the easier ones to make. Cabbage has these microorganisms in it, and it creates this lactic acid, and this is what's going to be part of the preservative, but it's also what breaks up the nutrients that are actually in the cabbage so that you can digest them very well. And this is what's going to create this really good nurturing side of the bacteria that we need, that are really excellent for the gut, for the colon. So do you think that you've ever eaten any fermented foods before?
Yeah.
What would be a fermented food? Do you know of one? There's a really good one you probably have had, and it's yogurt. So a good yogurt has live bacteria in it. Yeah?
Put some in my hand.
Okay.
Put it all in my hand. No, this one.
So why are we putting the salt on?
Nothing.
So we're gonna bring the juices out of the cabbage. So that's what we need to do for it to start to ferment. Yeah. So what's happening right now is it's getting nice and watery in here. So this is what we need. I need somebody to squish these because we got to get them ready. Do I have a squisher here? Now it's bringing the water out. That's good. Now you're squishing it really good. So just get it in your fingers and yeah, that's it. That's really good.
More?
So it's going to start getting more and more juicy.
Vincent.
The juices will come out. Let me get some carrot going. Are you? Oh, good. Oh, yeah. It's looking much better, yeah. So turn it around in there. One of the interesting things also about fermenting foods that came out in the 1700s was Captain James Cook, the English navigator and sailor. In there, yes, you can put it in there. There was always a huge problem with scurvy on board ships. what scurvy was the lack of vitamin C. So on board they would use a lot of dried goods and a lot of beans and flour, so they were missing out on fruits and vegetables. So because they couldn't actually
You have to be careful.
take all these fruit and vegetables with them on board, because it'd be months and months before they might get to port. They didn't have access to fruits and vegetables that were fresh on board, because you only had so much room to carry your cargo. And so this was a very important thing that wouldn't spoil, it wouldn't go off, and it had the vitamin C in it. So this stopped the problem with scurvy. So how's is yours getting wet in there? Is it getting damp?
It's getting wetter.
Is it getting wetter? Okay, now shall we put some beetroot in?
Oh, my hand.
Why are we doing
Hardy,
this?
Mummy's decided you're not using the grater anymore because it's very dangerous for your fingers.
Did you squish it enough? Oh, you did a pretty good job.
Keep squishing.
We need squishing going on here.
I'm doing low squishing.
Okay, are we ready to put the onion in?
I'm ready.
Are you? Okay. It has natural bacterial properties to it anyway, when it's eaten raw. But what we're going to do is put it in there, because all of that will mix in with the other nutrients of the carrot and the cabbage. So another reason why fermenting foods is really good is because our diets have changed, and a lot of foods are pasteurized. All their properties are taken away, so we don't have the full food any longer, and foods are not produced the same way. So that reduces the gut flora, and that makes you more susceptible to infections and disease. So fermented foods, when they started to diminish and they weren't used as much and people started to go to more convenience type foods, we lost a lot of these beautiful bacteria that we need to have in order to stay healthy. One of the reasons why you want it small also is because you're going to pack it into the jar, and you don't want air pockets in there, because what you're going to see is you're going to see bubbles lifting up. Once it starts to ferment, you're going to keep the jar open actually, and you're going to put either another jar on top of it to push down, and you keep it in a bowl, and you'll start to see the bubbles will start to come out. And then you'll just keep pressing it down, and that makes it drop down further, releasing the gases to it. Okay, just going to get these jars so we can start putting your set fuller. You want to leave a little space for the juices to start, but we need to get these a bit fuller. So I'm going to chop up another cabbage. But this is a good start because you can get your fist in there, and what you want to do is just to keep massaging it until it gets a little more juicy. But now you can see the juice is starting to run. It's watery. And that's what you want to have happen. Okay, so everybody's sauerkraut's ready. So when you push it down, you see all the juice coming up? So what you're getting is the air pockets. Yeah, you go ahead. So you see all the bubbles coming up? So you're getting the air pockets out of here.
Can I do mine? Can I do mine?
Yeah, you can do yours. And then what you're going to do is we're going to get a little bit of salt water to cover it up to the top. So right now we've got everything ready for the sauerkraut. So it's ready to start to ferment. And what we have is it's nice and it's got a really good juice to it. So we're just pressing the air bubbles out to make sure there's no air further down. So the longer you let it ferment, so you could go 2 or 3 days, sometimes 5 or 6 days. You can leave it like this, and you can just top up a little bit of the salt water if it gets drier, and you're just going to let the bubbles come up, and it will get frothy. And then what you can do is at the time you can taste the kraut and see if it's the flavor that you like, or you can leave it a bit longer and see if you want a stronger taste. Close it off, and then you can put it in your refrigerator, and then you've got your sauerkraut there. If you want to store it, then you definitely, it's better to get the sealing ones, or you can get the screw top ones, but you just want to make sure that you've got the water level above the vegetables, because then if you do get a bit of molding at the top, then just scoop it out and the rest is fine because it's fermented. Okay, and that's it for right now. So hey crew, are we gonna say goodbye?
Boys, do you want to say goodbye to Licia?
Yeah?
In a minute.
Yeah.
What is it?
Boys, come and say goodbye to Alicia.
So did you?
Roman, Hardy, come and say goodbye. Boys, show some manners. Come back.